Again, my name is Martina Leinz. I'm the Senior Director of Recruitment and Special Programs at the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies, and I'm joined today by Emma Holland, who is my colleague at SAIS and is also a graduate of the Master of Arts in International Relations program, which is the program that Stavros, who is a Greek citizen, a Fulbrighter, and a public service fellow at Johns Hopkins SAIS, and a current student. So you have a wealth of resources here. Feel free to ask your questions, and we look forward to addressing them all. Because we thought it would be helpful, some of what we're going to share is going to be a little bit of echoing what else is shared with you today. But it is really important to have an understanding of why you might want to study in the U.S. and the best way to approach it. So today we're going to talk to you about what to look for when researching schools. We'll use Johns Hopkins as an example. We're going to talk about key components of an application, provide tips on how you can be successful in the application process, and a little bit about strategies for your professional development, because these are important considerations when you're thinking about graduate school. How is graduate school going to help you prepare for the career that you wish to enter? And then, of course, we want to answer all of your questions. So why study in the U.S.? Of course, academic excellence and tremendous choice in universities. As Elle so eloquently shared with you, there are incredible campuses all across our country. So a lot of things to consider, a lot of great choices and fantastic student diversity. The new figures just came out, and there are over 1 million international students studying in the United States in 2023. Stavros, you're one of those, you're one in 1 million. And at SAIS, this is particularly true. On our campus, international students make up about 40% of the student population. The U.S. is the leader in many areas of technology and research. Research is a really important component of many universities in the United States. Those universities are referred to as research institutions. And you'll learn in a minute that Johns Hopkins was the very first in our country. U.S. universities also are a little bit unique vis-a-vis European universities, and that the career development piece is important to us as the academic component. So helping provide you with the opportunities to really develop your network and to think about and strategize for your professional success is a key part of study in the United States. Of course, we have access to outstanding libraries and resources here. And ultimately, studying in the U.S. can really give you a competitive edge when you are beginning your career. What to look for when researching schools and programs. Elle shared this with you already, but just to underscore some of these points. Think about looking into how established and well-regarded the university is. Are they nationally or globally ranked? Are their faculty renowned? Are they the experts in their fields? Does the university you're looking at actually offer the degree program that you're interested in? I mean, a campus might be very appealing to you because it's on the shores of Hawaii, but if they don't offer the degree that you are seeking, it's not going to be the right fit for you. Does the university offer the type of research opportunities you're seeking? Do they offer any scholarships that you might be eligible for? Or do they provide on-campus job opportunities? It is permissible for international students to work and receive payment at the universities where they are students. So that is a nice bonus. Ask if the university that you're looking at has a robust career services function, and do they prioritize the professional development opportunities for students? Do they publish employment outcomes? Employment outcomes will be the data that shows, sometimes it's called first destination surveys, but where the graduates are getting jobs. What are the organizations and the industries they're going into? And do those align with your interests? So to do this, we'll take a look at how you might evaluate Johns Hopkins University. So Johns Hopkins was founded on the principle that pursuing big ideas and sharing what we learn will make the world a better place. And we really have stayed on that vision for our 150-year history. We are very intellectually diverse. We have more than 20,000 undergraduate and graduate students enrolled in our 9 schools or divisions, of which SAIS is one. We have more than 29 Nobel Prize winners that have come through or taught at our university. For 43 consecutive years, we've put more money into research than any other U.S. academic institution. And for that reason, we are always ranked among the very best universities on the planet. Our school reaches into nearly every corner of the globe. SAIS in particular has campuses on 3 continents. So again, the beautiful photo behind Stavros, that is our Washington, D.C. campus, and that is our main campus. But we also have a campus in Bologna, Italy, and at the Hopkins Nanjing Center in Nanjing, China. And students who pursue our 2-year Master of Arts in International Relations have the option of spending both years in Washington or spending their first year in Bologna, Italy, and then coming to DC. Or if they speak Mandarin, they can start at the Hopkins Nanjing Center and then come to DC. So again, SAIS is one of 9 divisions of the Johns Hopkins University. You can see here all the other divisions that we have. Something that is available to you as a student at any of our divisions, particularly here at SAIS, you have the option of taking classes if you desire at one of the other divisions. And you're able to take a certain number of courses that would then transfer into your Master of Arts in International Relations degree. This can be particularly helpful, for example, if you're interested in international development and global public health, you might choose to take a class with the Bloomberg School of Public Health. So when you're evaluating universities, again, look at all of the different colleges or divisions they have that make up that university. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Emma, who's going to talk to you about one of the scholarship programs that we do offer at Johns Hopkins SAIS. And again, this should be part of your research when evaluating which university you want to apply to.
Thank you, Martina, and welcome to our guests today. I'd love to tell you guys a little bit about the Public Service Fellows and Scholars Program, which again is offered at the School of Advanced International Studies, where I myself studied, as well as where Stavros is studying currently. Stavros is also a recipient of the Public Service Fellowship, so he is a candidate for the Master of Arts in International Relations, and he has received 100% tuition scholarship for his 2 years of study at SAIS. Our Public Service Fellows and Scholars Program is designed to promote dialogue and understanding of public service, whether that's your desire to study or work for your own government, to work in a non-governmental organization or for a nonprofit organization. We define public service rather broadly. And our mission is to promote dialogue and understanding of public service through research, education, and curated engagement with faculty and other leaders in the public service community. Our goal is to help fellows and scholars develop a strategic skill set that will enable them to find creative approaches to tackling public policy challenges. And we say fellows and scholars to differentiate between our 2 groups of students. So fellows are highly talented individuals from all different countries pursuing the Master of Arts in International Relations, which is our 2-year full-time program. And fellows have a demonstrated interest in public service. So you don't necessarily have to have any experience in public service, but just a demonstrated interest in public service. So we would, as the admissions committee, look for whether or not you've been engaged in public service and say maybe community service that you have done, or maybe you have internships for your own local or state or national government. So if you are interested in public service, you might be interested in applying for our public service fellowship for the Master of Arts in International Relations. And if you were a recipient of this scholarship, you would have 100% of your tuition covered. And then we have our scholars. So scholars are mid-career professionals with at least 7 years of experience, most of which would optimally be in public service. And those fellow scholars are pursuing the Master of International Public Policy, either full-time or part-time, and they receive 50% tuition for that scholarship. And in addition to the scholarship that you do receive, you also are invited to lots of cohort programming events where you get to have special meet and greets with leaders in the field. You might have social events where you might get to go hiking with your cohort. And one of the added benefits of being a part of this program is a shared community with others who are interested in public service. So if you are interested in pursuing a Master of Arts in International Relations or International Public Policy, you might consider looking into our Public Service Fellows and Scholars program at SAIS.
Thank you, Emma. So we'll talk for a moment about key components of an application. I see that we are starting to get questions in the Q&A box, so we'll kind of hurry through the slides so we can get to your questions and hear from Stavros. So as Els mentioned, there are some key components to an application. Generally, any master's degree to which you may be applying is going to ask you to complete an application form, to upload to that form a personal statement, a resume, your transcripts, letters of recommendation. In most instances, if you have recently finished your undergrad, it's completely fine to have both letters of reference come from faculty members. Test scores, if you are a non-native English speaker, if Greek is your first language, you will have to do either TOEFL or IELTS for any school in the United States. Any more, GRE and GMAT is usually optional these days. And that is one of the silver linings of COVID, because it was so difficult for students to take these tests during the COVID years. Many schools went to offering it as an optional part of the application, and we really didn't see any decline in the caliber of students. And so we realized that it really just isn't that important anymore. So when schools say that a GRE or GMAT is optional, that's really what we need. It's entirely optional. So don't feel obliged to submit a score if it's optional. Now, if you have to take it for a school that you're applying to, and if you do really well, by all means, share those scores with schools where the GRE or GMAT is optional. But if you don't do well and it is optional, do not submit the scores. Because if the scores are not high, it may work against your application. But if you never submit them, we'll never know. So that's a tip I'd like you all to take away from today. Sometimes schools will ask for a writing sample, not always, and sometimes interviews are required. Sometimes they're offered as optional. At SAIS, interviews are optional. I would encourage you to take the opportunity to do an interview anytime it's offered, because it gives you a chance to hear from a current student in the program who can share their experiences. It's a great way for you to learn a little bit more about the student experience, and it's also a way for the university to learn a little bit more about you. So I would encourage you to do it if it's optional. With a PhD, it's generally the same, but what's very important with a PhD application is your dissertation topic. So you'll want to make sure that you read application instructions thoroughly before you start working on the application, so you don't miss any important guidelines that they may have provided. For example, with a PhD, they might want your dissertation topic limited to a certain number of words, and they might want you to share what your intended methodology of research will be. So make sure you are answering what it is they are seeking. Everything else is generally the same, although almost all PhD applications will require a writing sample. To be a successful applicant, if again, just as with the interview, it's optional. Apologies, big dog, and it just had a delivery at the house. I'm going to turn, Emma, do you want to walk through this while Guinness is barking?
Of course, no problem. So some of our tips for success are seek meeting with admissions representatives. So we love to speak to prospects and answer any questions you might have about the application. So if you have the opportunity to and have the time to, please do look on websites to schedule meetings with admissions representatives who could help you with any questions. If you're a PhD applicant, seek meetings with professors who may have topics of research and interest that you have as well. You can ask for faculty outreach guidelines from admissions offices and think about the research topic you wish to pursue. A lot of institutions have grad fairs either on campus, or maybe they have info sessions that you can get lots of information on the programs that you're interested in and the application processes. So check out the websites that institutions have, their admissions pages in particular, to look for virtual info sessions. One piece of information for you about our SAIS info sessions that are virtual is that if you do attend one of those, you'll have the application fee waived for you. So our application fee is $85. You would have that waived if you did attend a virtual info session. SAIS and other institutions often will offer class visitations. So if you're interested in gaining a real life experience as a student in an institution in the U.S., and you do have the opportunity to come in person, you could sign up for a class visitation. There are also virtual opportunities. So at SAIS in particular, we have taster lectures, so you could join virtually for a taste of what a SAIS class might seem like. And then if you have the option to either in person or on Zoom, do sign up for an interview, because you can take that opportunity to meet with a current student and ask any questions you have of them. And you should always prepare early for entrance exams if they are required for an institution. You might be happy to hear that we don't require it at SAIS to take the GRE or GMAT. And of course, you want to prepare early and secure recommenders. So ask people in advance. Don't give them a short amount of time to write a recommendation for you. And ensure that your recommenders are people that know you very well and can speak to your ability, and whether that's academic or professional.
Thanks, Emma. Guinness is calm now. Thank you for your patience, everyone. All right. So just to continue the tips for success, as mentioned earlier, make sure you're reading all of the admissions requirements and instructions on the school's website. Review those websites. They tend to offer all the information you need. If you have specific questions about a particular department, reach out to that department. And then a really important tip is make sure that you are asking a trusted family member, friend, or colleague to proofread all of the documents before you submit them. it's really easy to overlook a grammatical error or a spelling mistake, particularly when you're working in a second language. So make sure you have somebody reviewing your documents before you submit them so you don't make any mistakes. And one note, I will say, be careful. I know that a lot of schools don't have any rules yet about the use of AI and applications like Chat GPT, but do your own work. Admissions committees are going to be able to tell if a chat bot has written your statement of purpose. So, please don't use AI. Make sure you're putting your best self forward by doing your own work. I think we're going to pause there. We can come back to this strategies for professional development. I want to make sure Stavros has time to speak and that we get all the questions answered. So if that's okay with you, Els, we'll circle back to this if time permits.
Sure.
Stavros, do you want to go ahead and share a little bit about your experiences?
Sure, absolutely. So hi everyone. Thank you so much to Els, Martina, and Emma for the good introductions. They didn't leave anything for me to say, I think. But I really I'm really honored and happy that I have the privilege to explain some of the things that I went through throughout the past year. Around this time last year, I had already submitted my applications, but that shouldn't discourage you from taking your time and submitting them until January or whenever the deadline approaches. And I wanted to use my time in two ways. The first part, let's say, is I would like to talk to you as a prospective applicant, like myself a year ago, and give you some tips. So the first tip that I want to give to everyone is, please, please, please feel like you're special. Don't underestimate yourself. Do submit your application, even if it's at Johns Hopkins, Harvard, Princeton, or whichever prestigious university you can think of in Europe or the United States. If you don't submit the application, you're 100% guaranteed that you're not gonna get into the university. So last year, my applications to US universities were a sort of a gamble. I don't have the ability. I didn't have the ability to even imagine me going to the United States at this point last year. But that didn't deter me of taking my application seriously and treating it equally with any other master's application I submitted. So please feel special. Please take the time and submit your application. And you never know how life brings you, gets you somewhere. The second advice I have to give is, please do invest your time in the applications process. And in relation to the question that was submitted about the scholarship information, it's something that you really need to spend time on. And I had like a part-time job preparing for my applications, researching which programs fit for me, reviewing the coursework, seeing the guidelines and the eligibility for scholarship programs and for the university. So take your time, do the research. It's not an easy process, and it will reward you if you do the work. The third is perhaps be honest and true about yourself. You don't have to, in your purpose of statement or whatever the document is called about your intentions of going to grad school, you don't have to use the classic templates or guidelines that YouTube videos suggest or online materials suggest. You can do your own thing. And I went with my gut. Mostly, I took some of the advice that was given online, but at the end of the day, it's your application, it's your personality that you're trying to inform other people about. So be true about it, and I think it will also reward you if you're actually putting forward your own actual self. So I'd like to switch on the student life and why you should pick the US as your master's destination. And I'll be honest, I think it accelerates my career and my professional life perhaps 3 times faster compared to Europe. I had the privilege of working in Brussels and seeing how people, because I'm in the international relations field, how people ended up in the institutions and they follow the typical road path in a sense. And that's a slow process and very uncertain process. But here in the US, I feel like everything I do, any activity that I do, my interactions with professors who are actual practitioners, working in federal agencies or having worked in the past in federal agencies, really accelerate my progress here. So I couldn't be more grateful about all the opportunities offered here. And I really think that it is something that will follow you for life. And despite if you have to go through some limited financial hardship, not suggesting that you have to come here without any financial resources, but even if you have to go through some financial strain, please take it, because it's nothing compared to Europe, and also the international environment and the people that you actually meet from all over the world and not just from all over Europe is quite significant. So I'd like to pause there, but I'm happy to answer any other questions submitted.
Thank you, Stavros. I'll go ahead and answer the question that came into the Q&A box while others hopefully are sharing their questions. And it's just about scholarships in general for master's degree programs vis-a-vis PhD. And you are correct, the author of that question, that most PhD programs in the United States are fully covered. So for example, at SAIS, in addition to having your tuition fully covered, you are provided a stipend of about $32,000 US a year for 4 years. So that permits you to fully focus on your studies. With master's degrees, it varies quite significantly from school to school. And one important thing to note about universities in the United States is that we have both public universities, and public universities are run and managed and financed by the states in which they reside. And then we have private universities, and private universities will exist right in tandem with public in states. The difference is very often public universities may be limited in the amount of scholarship that they can provide. Private universities are not. They are not beholden to state legislators. They can do whatever they want to do with the sources of funding they have available to award to students. So Johns Hopkins SAIS, for example, is a private institution. And so we are able to provide generous scholarships like the full scholarship that Stavros is on. So that's why it's so important to do your research. There are some public schools that, because they are very committed to having a diverse student body, will provide scholarships for international students, but not all will do that. Some are in states where they are very strict about who can receive scholarships. So you will have to do the research. One thing to note is that very often with graduate programs, scholarships are often more merit-based than need-based, meaning it is the strength of your application, the qualifications that you are bringing to the table that are what decisions about the amount of your award are going to be based on. That is more typical than need, meaning the financial need that you have. Sometimes schools will look at both, and some scholarships they will. So for example, the scholarship, the public service scholarship, need will be taken into consideration for that. But not all scholarships at SAIS are that way. Some of them are purely based on merit. So you'll just have to do the research for each school. So hopefully that answered your question.